Jason is here.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Ward from MakingStarWars.net. I don't know how that opening really went today because I spent too long editing that, and then right as I went to do the final edit of it, I got all the PNGs have like white backgrounds all of a sudden. Wasn't that way for days, and then of course before the show it goes that way. I saw the comments in the chat today from Jangles, and he says, "I hope Jason debuts a new song today, or maybe an extended version of his classic This Show's Got Butts." Well, okay, here's what I can do. This is what I can do today to show you guys a demo that I'm uploading it right now. I'll show you guys the demo, but you guys gotta promise you guys won't show anyone else. You guys won't put it on SoundCloud. I don't want to hear SoundCloud rappers rapping over this or anything like that. So if you guys could promise that, then I think we have a deal. Today I want to talk a little bit about an article on bestmanbulletin.com and a little bit about the leaks from the next Ahsoka episodes and what's been going on there. Just like up front, one of the things that Economics Legal, the guy on Reddit who has been ostensibly leaking random fun facts from the previous few episodes and has been on, is that he calls the place that we're going to Notia with a T. Now, when I heard this place from crew members, they were saying what sounded to me like Notia. So in the past, I wrote Notia, Nodia, I believe. Sounds like a cell phone, like a flip cell phone from the early 2000s or something. And but when he says it, he says Notia. And one thing is people keep going like, oh, those must be like the magical witches or something. I don't actually know for certain how that goes, but I do remember in my brain imagining these little lobster people. Okay, this isn't helping you guys. I understand that. I'm not helping anybody here, but I remember them being like these like little people, and I'm like, oh, I hadn't thought about that in a while. And I don't think I know I wrote about the Notia when was just obviously probably Notia. But I remember them being like little, like there was an alien race there, a little alien race who lived there. So the point being is that I don't expect that they're like, he said, Arya told me what he said, because I don't know where he says what he says, but I do trust Arya's interpretations. Let me pull up what she said. He said something like the Notia are going to break the internet. Is what I think he said. And so I'm guessing that they must be hilarious and not like, oh my God, it's so magical and cool. It's more like, but Rob, who I haven't been able to get a hold of today, might pop on. He might not. He might be sleeping right now. He's working on a big project, and so I keep doing shows at random times. But he said something funny on I think he said it on this show before too, but I think he said it on Santa's show. And then so here's the really stupid demo of a song. I think it could be better still, but it still makes me laugh. So it might be loud because this show, it doesn't have limits, meaning it doesn't have a limiter. All right, so here we go.
Purgatory, why did you have to go to purgatory? Alien wants to know. Grand Admiral Thrawn, why so blue? Why so blue? Shooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Purgatory, why did you have to go?
Stop the feet.
Purgatory,
It's time.
alien wants
So there we go. I mean, what can I do? What can I do? Sometimes when you're a genius and you're ahead of your time, you just have to wait for everyone to catch up. You know, people have called me the next John Lennon of Star Wars scooping. Yeah, you try walking around with that on your back, Meg. It's not easy. It's not easy. But ironically, I will probably um, be shot by a really big dummy someday because of my opinion on the expanded universe. Something like that. Oops. But anyways, yeah, so that's Purgatory. Gotta give Rob credit. He's my Ringo on that one. He's the guy who says a hard day's night, and I put it in the songs, So we're gonna go over to Bespin Bulletin, and I wanted to hit on the article that he did. Just a bit of like clarification and a bit of I don't know if he hits on this in this article. I can't see where my thing's at to share my screen. How am I supposed to do this, you guys? How am I supposed to work under these conditions? Oh, I'm supposed to send Bespin a link. Sorry, see now. Okay, Bespin, hang up. I'm gonna send you the link right now. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. See, I forgot that you don't have keys to my apartment. You know what I mean? I forget sometimes. But I'm gonna get Bespin on here, and we'll that way he could be like, "That's not what I said, bruv," and that kind of stuff. Because that's how people over there speak. Yeah, I don't even know what bruv means. It could be really bad, but that's what he's always saying. Like when he's making me listen to his SoundCloud raps, which, by the way, I refuse to work with him at this point right now. He's not ready. All right, here it goes. All right, I sent Bespin the link. So if Bespin, he has 50% battery, so who knows what we get out of that? Nobody does. But here's the article from BespinBulletin.com. Answered. Will Anakin Skywalker appear in Star Wars Ahsoka after Episode 5? And then we have him there with his glorious CGI locks. Azatru doesn't look like that on his streams, but when you get him in the Fortnite, trust me, he's a different person. How's it going, Mr. Bespin?
It's fine. You didn't send me a link, so I wasn't here on time. And if I
Yeah,
sound weird, it's because I got AirPods on.
that's fair. I mean, it's not because you're weird at all. It's not because of you at all.
It's not
it's
because
there.
of me.
Yeah, no. I forgot to send the link today because you were like, I don't got battery, and then I was trying to figure out why my new intro has white backgrounds on everything all of a sudden.
Yeah, you were like, you got 25 minutes to charge your phone, so that's what I did. I was like, let it sit there on charge, didn't touch it. And then you didn't send me a link. I was like, hey, I got this wrong.
Yeah. Well, I have to get inside your head, keep you kind of off balance off your game. Okay, so you wrote, can fans expect to see more Anakin Skywalker in the Ahsoka series following episodes 4 and 5? We have the answer.
Clickbait.
Does that mean me and you, or does that just mean like you and your imaginary other writer?
When I say we, like, the thing is, it isn't one person. Like I am the Bespin Bulletin. I am the standard.
So you're not a man, you're an idea. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I'm a dream. But no, there is like another person. There's like one other person, like who like helps run the site. So
I'll be honest, I've never seen him. So right now, it sounds like you're lying.
Well, I've only ever seen him once. So.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Last week, fans across the globe got to witness the Hayden Christensen. I like that you wrote that. Like he's like the Hayden Christensen, portraying the character of Anakin Skywalker in the 5th episode of Ahsoka, which led to mass acclaim and appreciation online. We got to see Anakin post Jedi, meaning episode 6, right? Live action Clone Wars scenes, Skywalker dueling, and finally seeing a live action pairing of Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano. You gotta call her Tano if you want to troll people, by the way. I'm sure many prequel and Clone Wars fans, it felt like a dream and a huge moment within the fandom. However, and most importantly, the Christensen's appearance as Anakin Skywalker served as a purpose, and our series lead, Ahsoka Tano, got to learn a new lesson from her master. What followed were scenes of almost a rebirth for the titular character. Yeah, you said titular. Tano quietly.
It's been a while since I've said it, to be fair.
Yeah, you got to get it in there finally. I missed it. All right, because this show's about butts. Tano quietly slid into the water in the world between worlds, following the teachings of Skywalker, and was pulled out of the other side by members of the New Republic. Tano donned white robes. Something fans have been itching to see. Could be herpes, by the way, but itching to see since the finale. It's eczema, psoriasis, Star Wars Rebels. And has a new outlook on life. All things considered, it seems as the Skywalker's role and purpose in the series has been fulfilled. And that begs the question, will we see Anakin Skywalker again in the series? So really quickly, though, stop me if I touch on this, but I think it answers the question about was that really him in the dream that she's having, in her half conscious, fever dream that she goes through. Is it really him? And I think what you say here probably confirms that. In short, yes, we will see Anakin Skywalker again, according to my sources and online rumors. That's rumors with the U. So that means that they're fancier rumors than we got over here, more likely to be true. Around a month ago, I had heard from sources details of Ahsoka's episode 5, which I wrote about here, and came to fruition. And it was during those discussions that I was told that an Anakin Skywalker Force Ghost appears and was shot for the 8th episode. I didn't get much detail on the scene. All I was told was that Skywalker is clearly proud of his apprentice and looks fondly towards her in the series finale. I'll give it a bonus.
Because this is something I told you a while ago, but you sort of teased it on this show when the Reddit person showed up.
Well, economics
sort of
legal 69.
Yeah, and when he showed up, there was things that I told you was in his first batch of leaks, right?
Yes.
And you were like, "Should we say it on the show? Can we say it on the show?" And I was like, "Not yet. I want to check things." But it was that. It was a specific shot of Anakin.
That's when I knew this new kid on the scene might be up to something that was real. I was like, okay, that's really, really the same exact weird thing you said.
Yeah, because it was, like I said, there was things that I told you, and things I was telling you before he wrote them and put anything out, and then that's why the episode 5 stuff I did, it was almost not a race against time, but it has to go out, it has to be said, or somebody else is gonna say it.
That's why I don't sit in my hands too long. I sit in my hands long enough to get space between the source and the info, and then I go run to it.
A lot of the times is also just getting approval from sources.
Yeah, but sometimes Bespin, you see a house is on fire, and you got to ask, what kind of man are you? Are you gonna run in there?
It depends on the house.
You gonna save? You gonna save that little Notia and run out, or are you gonna just watch the world burn?
I mean, I'm the type to just watch the world burn. I think.
No, of course, you always have to have permission from sources before you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, 100%. However, episode 8 isn't the only appearance I was told about, according to my sources. Skywalker will appear in what they believe to be the 7th episode of Ahsoka in the form of a hologram. Now, when you say hologram, are you meaning an actual like a recorded phone call, or are you meaning a Force Ghost?
Hologram. Yeah.
Okay.
I specify Force Ghost in episode 8.
Okay.
I mean,
just making sure. Just making sure. You know how this goes. People use synonyms weird. I know you don't, but I'm just asking for the clarification. I have no context as to where or why the hologram is in an episode of Ahsoka, but that Anakin lines heard in the Anakin lines heard in a TV spot where he mentions facing battle droids is part of the hologram scene. Yeah, you think it could be some weird security footage or something that Thrawn obtained, and he's like studying it, watching her every move to learn everything about her?
I don't know.
Sounds
Like I said, I
dumb.
don't.
That sounds
Like I said,
dumb, but I mean, what else could it
yeah,
be?
like I said, I don't know the context. Like my own personal theory, and it's just a theory, was that
Yeah,
maybe she has a holocron of some kind on the ship, and it plays that. I don't know. There's something she has, I think, that plays an Anakin message for it.
yeah,
There's
yeah.
something
Because
she's
I
got
mean,
like recorded at least, you know.
right?
Because
Because
again,
we do know that the Jedi Temple has security footage. Like we know, we
yeah,
see that in Revenge of the Sith when he's
yeah.
wiping everybody out. They're watching it.
Yeah, so I don't know if she's got something that like almost motivates her to go into the fight, essentially. Like I
Yeah,
know Anakin served his purpose in the 5th episode. He taught her the lesson. She has the rebirth. Now she's going to the rest of the journey, and she's
right.
like, got a new lease on life. But maybe there's encouragement for her going into a battle,
Yeah.
and because doesn't he say, I can't remember the exact line from the TV spot, but isn't it something along the lines of, it's more than just facing battle droids. He says something like that, right? There's
He
something more than just.
goes, those robots out there, you better be careful.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
that's essentially what he said. That's all I remember now.
yeah. So I think there's something like that. So I don't know. Like I said, I said it on. You put the wolf thing out like ages ago. Ahsoka
Mhm.
rides a wolf. I like
Yeah.
said on time, so I hear she rides it in the battle.
Mhm.
Like, so
Well,
maybe it's.
I know for a fact she rides it into battle. Like
Yeah.
that's one of the things is that she's like literally like riding around those like troops and stuff, and like she like has like a moment. Yeah. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but yeah, you're not 100%. Like that's what happened. Whatever this. I think it's a wolf. Star Wars Santa likes to get into my head and start putting doubts about things, and you're just like, what? No, he's not a lost wolf because you're not on the stall, bro. And I'm just like, you know what, man? You know what? I don't know. But one thing I do know
Didn't
is
you
shit
also
don't
hear
make
that?
sense. I don't even know if she's dreaming or what right now.
Didn't you also hear that the wolf like was codenamed like Doom or something?
Yeah. They had they had like concepts and drawings and stuff like that. If you remember, like at the time, I was getting a lot of stuff from that section of things. Think of the lobster guards, and that just made me wonder if that's why I thought the little people were lobsters on Notia. But I for some reason believe that they're little people, and I got to go find like some notebook to see what I wrote down that day because I'm running on the fly, and then nothing else ever came of that aspect of this, so I didn't end up doing like a new story to it. So
See,
it's
I don't
just
write
this
anything
little,
down. I just keep it all in the dome, Jason. It's
yeah,
all in the dome.
yeah. When you go out, you're having beers with people and stuff like that, I gotta keep a little tiny notebook in my pocket that I just make some general stuff, or so much stuff would be lost. Ahsoka Tano has finally set out on her journey to a mysterious galaxy fans have never seen before, as she continues her quest to stop the sinister Grand Admiral Thrawn, reunite with her apprentice Sabine Wren, and locate her long-lost friend Ezra Bridger. I've been told for quite some time that the second half of the series is the most exciting, which we're now in, and that fans are in for a treat with the episodes that are set to air. So then you say what time it is and all that stuff. And you can follow
You know what
Bestman on
time it is.
Patreon. You can follow Bestman on Coffee and Patreon. And this guy right here, he's been doing work. He's been doing work during the strike when nothing's going on. And he lost Patreon supporters. What the hell? Doesn't
I
make
lost
any
Patreon
sense.
supporters after putting out exclusives.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
no sense. But
Yeah, I've lost about 3, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you only have like maybe 20,
yeah,
like I think I've got like 19 now.
it adds up.
It adds up. It's helpful. Like anything that goes towards the Patreon or the coffee is very helpful.
Yeah.
Especially because like you said, we're in a strike, so me and you, we don't make nowhere near as much as and we didn't make a lot anyway, but we make nowhere near as much as we used to because of so here's the thing, my August like payout was down 180%.
Yeah.
So that's how far down it was from everything else.
That means you owe $80 basically at that point.
it was down 180%. So for the people who contributed in August and like this month and whatever to like coffee and Patreon, that's massively helpful.
Yeah.
So because the website isn't like, you know, the be all and end all, but it helps towards like bills and it helps towards making ends meet, as it does for you, like the show and
Yeah.
getting super chats and everything else. So any support I get or you get, I know we're both deeply appreciative of it.
Yeah.
We promise the money does not go in Fortnite.
No.
Those days are behind us. We can't afford that anymore.
Can't afford that anymore. We
can't afford.
Ahsoka's on the battle pass, so that's nice.
That's nice.
That's nice. We get that, yeah.
But yeah, so put an exclusive out, lose some patrons.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Trick is
that's how it works.
Don't put out exclusives.
Don't do it. Just don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah. No, it's it does allow us to do this and more time to do it. Like right now is like a super weird time because of the strike. Like I got 2 sources telling me stuff about what's going on right now, but they're also like, you can't say anything right now because the world feels so small. If that when there's not people active, like a crew actively around moving stuff forward and things like that, and me being able to extrapolate on what the crew knows and then move from there, it's just it's not safe. So as the truth says, content consumers moan people who create content they consume ask for support smaller creators, not those that are not in need. Yeah, they love to go like, oh wow, he's so rich, living the dream, let me contribute to something good. It's like, no, that's actually not good. That's not really helping anybody, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think it also, obviously support smaller creators, especially, but at the same time, if something brings you consistent joy, consistently entertains you and brings you information and makes you, support those people, obviously, So Lewis says, can you say any more on the wolf part? Well, just to like reiterate for those who don't remember, like almost 2 years ago now, I don't care, a year, 2 years, whatever it's been. They brought in a company, in case they're wondering, no, the horse company, the horse people are not a source, so don't fire them, not their fault. They brought in like real live animals, like a horse, and they were using it to substitute in as the mount for Ahsoka, which will then be CGI'd over. And I was told it was a wolf a few times by different people now, looking back at it. And
I've also heard it's a wolf from different sources.
You've heard it's the wolf as well. When I broke from my end of things, people lie or just do fan math, but my thing was I never went out and said Ahsoka the White is in the episode until I knew. And then even then I was like, oh, is that thing we're seeing there what they thought was the white? Is that just like the white iteration of this costume or whatever? But they said that it was on the back end of the show, and she wears the white costume while she rides this wolf. And so the question at the end of the day is it Caleb Doom? Is it Hera's husband, or not husband, baby daddy? Or is it Jason's father, Ezra's master, Kibble and Bits eater? Is it that, or is it just simply the reference from the Star Wars show and the art that they were using? Yeah, I really don't know, but I do think it would, considering that the son, the mother, his apprentice, his friend Ahsoka, all of these people are in it. I kind of am leaning towards like it probably is. It should be. You would think,
and that's why Freddie Prinze Jr. is pissed, because he can't.
Well, he can't bark. He can't bark for shit. That's the problem with Freddie Prinze Jr. You ask him to play puppy dog, and he won't do it. He says, "I'm an actor." So I was in Scooby Doo, bitch. And I'm just
bark,
like,
though, wouldn't you?
No,
you'd bark for Hera. You'd bark for.
I don't bark. I actually do a Chewbacca impression. A very, very, very like accurate one. Peter Mayhew brought Miss Peter, But before we lost him, I did it for him, and he was in tears. He was so moved. He goes, "Woof!" That's how I do it. That's my like Wookiee, my Wookiee bark. Mumbo Jumbo gave a $4.99 super chat. Thanks, bud, and thank you for being a channel member too. Also, for me, one of the better ways to support the channel, because I have some idea of what the income from the show is going to look like, so I know, I'm making X amount of dollars. I can schedule a trip to San Francisco because the show will pay for it. For the record,
I can buy my kids food.
I can feed my children. Yeah, I mean, there is that part too. That part's good, but I always take care of them before I go out and buy like Star Wars toys or stupid shit like that. Mumbo Jumbo says, or Mumbo Jimbo, sorry, not Mumbo Jumbo. That's a different guy. Mumbo Jimbo says, has the possibility of the Loth Wolves being used once Ezra gets back to retrieve Ahsoka from Peridia? Love everyone from MS, SWS, BB, and the AZ crews. So, yeah, has the possibility of the Loth Wolf being used once Ezra gets back? Yeah, I've considered that. Like the one. So I have this like partial piece of info, this like map with the piece broken, pulled out of it right now, and I've been told that like not everybody makes it back. And so in my brain, when I try to put things in the locations that they matter, then I go, okay, they must return to Lothal with Ezra, and then during the end battle, like she gets on a wolf and rides it, and that's what makes the most sense. But our three suspects of who doesn't make it back would be Ezra Bridger, who I know does in fact make it back. So take Ezra off the board. That leaves Sabine, and that leaves Ahsoka. Now, in terms of story opportunities, I'm of the opinion that removing Ahsoka from the board makes the youngins have to step up and
we've talked about
heroes.
this on this podcast, right? It's like the Captain Marvel thing. You have to remove Captain Marvel so you can have a big fight without like somebody being overpowered and being able to take down the threat.
Yeah, the adversity needs to be, needs to work, or it's not much of a win when they do win. So with that in mind, that's where I have like a problem with it. You know what I mean? That's where I have a problem with.
But just because we know Ezra comes back doesn't mean we'll see him go to Lothal. For all we know, there's the final moments of Episode 8. Ahsoka gets stuck there with Sabine, and she's there to decide to, like, I don't know, maybe she's there to fight something, hold something off, or attempt to hold something off, right? And then Ezra, like, we just see Ezra come through with Thrawn and the rest of them, but we don't see Lothal.
Right, yeah. And based off of the past stuff, they don't like to put a character in a place that they then have to write the character out of that place in the next thing that they want to use them in. So in my opinion, they wouldn't want to like do that. But also, if they were going to do the he's home thing, putting him back on Lothal would make the most sense.
But we know Ahsoka's riding the wolf. Like, so why?
We do. And that's the next place I wanted to like take it, is that if it does, if this goes how we've been hearing, which I believe it should and will, well, if Caleb Doom is the wolf, then we have like a metaphysical manifestation of a creature from the space purgatory. Then we're in purgatory, right? Kind of we're in a weird mystical place, so it doesn't need to be from there. And there's always a chance that there's like supposed to be like some kind of magic stuff involved. Maybe it goes into a weird place. Maybe like the answer is just simply magic. I don't know.
Did you play the Purgatory song today?
I played the demo. I did, yeah. Stupid. I still want to.
When you mentioned it, I was like, "Have you actually like played that now?"
Yeah. I started the show with it because somebody asked for a demo or asked for a new song. I was like, I'll play a demo, but they all promised that they wouldn't share that version of it anywhere. So it's good, Do you know what episode Ezra is found? My prediction is 6 or 7. So
yeah, like it's gonna be 6, I think.
Yeah, I was,
like, at least that he appears. I think it's 6.
Yeah, I always knew it was in the second half, and that he's significantly in it. And since we've already got 5, think we're due. So I would imagine it's in the next episode. The legal economics dude, I guess, said that like Ahsoka's barely in the next episode though, and he says,
which makes sense because she's further behind than the rest of them.
Big switch. I tuned in to watch the Ahsoka Tano show, and showed up, she was not there.
It's a bait and switch. It's the Sabine show. It's the Sabine
It's a Sabine Wren show.
Oh no! I tuned in last week and they bait and switched me. It was the Anakin show, but I was okay with that because he's a dude with a dick.
They took Kylo Ren's name from him. His name was Ren, and now her name is Ren. They gave it to a woman character because of the Kathleen woke agenda of Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm Limited.
Every man in the show is a bum, Jason. Every man is a bum.
A bum. No, yeah. So, but he says that Ezra ghosted him, and I was like, the spaceship. Is that a clue? No, I'm kidding. But they basically go their own separate ways when they get to this new place. I don't know what Ezra's like been up to, but I'm curious if it's going to go. Because there's a couple of ways that they can take that narrative. Like if Ahsoka's not really in the episode, and you're Ezra Bridger, and then you hear that people have arrived into this new place, and he somehow gets wind that Sabine is there. That may be what pulls him out. That may be what pulls him in.
Somebody needs to rescue Sabine from them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think it'll be a lot of focus on Sabine and the villains.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're gonna assume the episode is like 40 something minutes long, right? So
that's what what's that one? What's that one guy? Cryptic HG. Yeah. They're always pretty on. So
yeah. So if we assume it's 40 something minutes, then again I think the most of it will be focused on the throne aspect.
Yeah.
You know, getting us acquainted with that scenario. And then I think we'll see a glimpse of Ezra. I don't think we'll see him like massively throughout it, but I think we'll see enough of him to whet fans' appetite, and then because then you'd assume, like trying to plot it out, right, that he would be aware of like this new thing coming. Like you might even see it, enter the atmosphere, or sense it, feel it. We might feel the presence of Sabine.
He's all presence. That butt on the motorcycle. That's a presence I haven't felt since Sabine. That's how it's going to start.
So then
it's called the callback.
Yeah. So I think it'll just be mostly focused on the villains.
Yeah.
As it should be, because like I said, like Ahsoka is a lot further behind. She's at least a day behind, right? Because Hera tells her in episode 5 it's been one rotation that she's been unconscious for.
Yeah.
Right.
Fucking lazy, dude. Sleeping, fucking lazy bum. Get the fuck up and be a hero.
I'm tired of this bait and switch like when you almost died. Yeah, it's just lazy. Yeah.
You know.
But Balin don't sleep, man. He's a workaholic. He got the job done.
Yeah, he did. But, he did. All the wild training a Padawan, hanging out with the witch. That's always like, you don't take me out anymore. We only go to your room and we just do it, and then you go to sleep. And he's just like, no, man. I got bigger. No, what I was gonna say was, in reality, the most likely thing that we'll have is bad guys monologuing to Sabine while we are introduced to reacquainted. While we see them we'll see it through probably Sabine's eyes, her point of view, as all of these characters reconvene in a way, and they will conveniently be like, you know what, we're gonna take you out of prison and let you watch this.
Jason, hold up for Chris Breezy. Breezy, are we gonna see Enoch?
Yes, we will see Enoch. And he's just gonna be like, hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Enoch. Do you like my costume?
Yeah, I had to tell Chris Breezy, because he was asking me last week. He was like, "Is he in episode 5? Like, why would he be in episode 5? You're gonna see him in episode 6." I had to break the news to him. I was like, "I feared it's like a Captain Phasma type, so don't get your hopes up." And I know you feared the same. So
I just heard he was the bodyguard. That's what they said. They said he's like one of Thrawn's bodyguards when he's out in that place. And so right now, this is just my working theory that I've had for a while now, is Ezra ends up in Notia, and with these creatures, these alien people. That's where he's been. That's where he's been spending his time. And the thing that the legal economics said it was like an Andor planet. I heard it was tall grass. If you guys remember my reports with like Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra fighting stormtroopers, getting like circled by them. There was a lot of tall grass that was built on set.
Maybe he means like what's the second planet they go to? The one that's filmed in Scotland. You know what I'm about? Where they did the actual heist.
The one with the eye. Yeah. Nobody can remember. It's been lost to time. What those planets are called.
I can't remember it. It's not. You got Nakina 5. That's not what it's called.
No, Nakina 5 so the prison world was.
Yeah.
You know.
I do not remember. I remember Ferrix.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. Why is that escaping me?
I just remember Tim fucked Bix there. And I was like, why are you doing that, Bix? You could do so much better than that fucking guy. That guy sucks. But Peter Griffin asks, will Enoch be wearing a white robe though?
I like the chat knows Chris Breezy's weird little demands of information.
Amy Tora, is Anakin in it? Is Luke in it?
No, it's always Luke. It's always Luke.
It's always Luke. It's never Anakin. Yeah, and
legal sending
messages.
messages. You know,
said no Luke in this show. No Luke in this show. And I think makes sense.
That's pretty obvious. Yeah.
Yeah. He also said no Leia. He said no Leia, which was something that we were wondering about.
It makes you wonder though, right? When the hell did Luke and Ahsoka meet?
Yeah.
Because of the way Jon Favreau has now painted this universe and this timeline, and how messy he's made it by saying, "Oh yeah, it was like basically real time." So Luke had Yoda, Baby Yoda, Grogu for a year, essentially. Yeah. So Din was taking public transport for a year, and then he's taking because we look at Ahsoka, and obviously the season 2 is when Grogu went off with Luke. In Ahsoka, we see like pretty much straight afterwards, Ellsworth being arrested and is being transported by the New Republic. She escapes, goes off. So where is that happening? Because some people, I don't know if you've seen it online, you probably have. People have been theorizing, like on Twitter and TikTok and stuff for a handful of days, that when Grogu in season 3, they go through the hyperspace lane, he like looks up and he sees like the Purgle above him. People have been speculating that he looks up because he senses or feels Ahsoka.
Yeah, and that's Ahsoka flying by.
Yeah, like going in the opposite like direction or whatever. But
I was at back when they were filming Ahsoka, I was told that you could cut the show into 2 halves, and 1 half is in the earlier part of Mando, the second half of the show is in the later parts of the Mando stuff, and how all of that works, and with the Jon Favreau thing that he said, like he was there with Luke for like a year or something like that. I'm kind of the impression that that's going to just end up not being the case.
Oh yeah, they need to define it. And the thing is, when he said that as well, when Favreau said that, he said that during the press of Mando 3, so like March, April. Like Ahsoka was already done. It was in the can. It was like good to so he knows the timeline of what Dave has been working with. He's an executive producer on that show.
Oh so, yeah, without a doubt, he knows.
So to come out and say something like that, it's like you've messed up your own timeline now. Because the initial way we imagined it was, maybe it's a few weeks or months. That's fine because it still works out like with the timeline wise. But at this point,
it should never have been defined. It should never have been.
You shouldn't. No, you shouldn't have said it was.
I don't need to know how many days Luke was with Yoda on Dagobah. It doesn't help one way or the other. If it's a lot, then it's like, what a loser. If it's not a lot, then it's like, well, how do you do that? You know what? Don't think about it. Just
now
enjoy the story.
Because now you're in a situation where, like, that's a key moment, like Ahsoka meeting Luke. You know, like, when is that supposed to have happened? Yeah. When Thrawn comes back to our galaxy at the end of this season, like, I just don't understand how they're going to try and define it. Unless they come out and, like, throw Favreau under the bus and say, no, it's actually been, like, a couple of weeks. Yeah. You know? But then you still have to ask the question, when did she meet Luke? When did she go and have that, like, conversation?
Well, right now, in a bunker at Lucasfilm, there's some poor person who's writing a book about why Mando didn't had to take public transportation for a year, and it's a grueling story of him being trapped in a mine for like a year. Watch it. That's what they'll do. They'll just make something weird like that, you know.
Yeah, but then that gets tossed out when they come out and say, "Well, actually, it wasn't. It was actually 3 weeks." You know,
Yeah.
like he went and trained for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because none of this makes sense now, like at all. Like the
Yeah.
timeline is actually very messy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you could you know they could make sense of it in the from the perspective of Mando got his ship blown up. That's where all his space cash was hidden, and he's literally broke, and then spends that year having to make the money to buy the N1, to buy anything, to buy a new Razor Crest, you know. And
the only way they can say it is if Ahsoka doesn't take place when we think it does, and it's actually happening at the same time as Mando 3.
Yeah,
that's the only way they can do it. Which means Morgan Elsbeth has been in custody for a year and was being transported. That's the only way they can say it.
Yeah, they're. I mean, I would buy a reality of bureaucracy moving so slow that it takes 3 fucking years to put somebody on trial who clearly tried to like take over the country. I could see that reality. That happens. So, you know, yeah, was she just sitting in a jail cell waiting to be tried that whole time? You could have that. That'd be fine.
That'd be the only way I can think they'd be able to do it at this point.
Yeah, and be
because
if
this is supposed to take place during Mando season 2 and Thrawn shows up at the end of this, or like around that same time, and then it's like, well, what did he do for the year? Was he just hanging out on one planet? Nobody knew he was back because Hera's been investigating. The New Republic is somewhat aware of it. It just makes the most sense to say that she was in custody for a year.
Right.
That's the only way they could do it.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. And I think behind the scenes, creatively, they're probably just like, we'll figure it out. Just leave wiggle room, and then we'll let people untangle it later. That's probably really what their perspective is.
Don't let Favreau be the one to go in front of press to discuss it. If you're gonna have anybody do it, let it be Dave, because he's.
And there's always just a possibility the guy was exhausted from press and started misspeaking. And the misspeaking made sense. Like what's consistent. It could happen. I doubt it, but it could. Talking Sith member for 17 months. Thank you, man. That's a long ass time. Super appreciate you being a channel member that whole time. It means a lot, man. Do we think there will be another theatrical release for the finale? And that's a good question. I would think that for the most part, the amount of money that goes into that is probably from a budget on
it's probably the
promotion
marketing budget that's going in.
It's the promotion marketing budget, and so I would probably side towards it's less likely unless it costs money. Unless it's like a screening, you know, where you go and like you watch the finale of like Lost or Battlestar Galactica, like they did that back in the day, and so it could be something like that. But I would bet against it. But I also don't really know why they make those things so small when they do them. You know, it sold out in minutes, which means they could have done it 5 or 6 times bigger, and people would have been happy. In fact, most people would have been happy to pay. I would have been happy to pay to go see that in the theater. You know, I would hope it wouldn't be a full price ticket, but something very close to one would have been fine. Because you're not getting a 2-hour movie, you're getting like an hour-long show. And so, you know, if it was $8, I would gladly go and pay that, one of those Fathom events type style things. So I'd say unlikely, but hopefully would be rad.
Yeah, because I sort of see the Anakin episode as not a relaunch, but like a mini boost for the show, like when they do more promotion. Because now they've lent into having Anakin on posters, having Anakin on like the banner of things, like when you see promotion for the show. They put out like TV spots now, which is like it recaps the first few episodes, but like really pushes the Anakin duo with Ahsoka and clips of the Clone Wars and whatnot. Like, and to be fair, I think it works to its effect. Like, I know people who weren't watching Ahsoka, who once they knew Anakin was back, following episode 4, they came back for the 5th episode. They watched it in anticipation of the return of Anakin. And again, this goes back to what me and you said many, many months ago. To market this show, you should show Anakin or Vader or whoever else. You need somebody recognizable to get the casual viewer in. You know, but and
if you do use them in the marketing, then you need to live up to it. If you call it the fight of the century, then it needs to be the fucking fight of the century, though. At the same time, like you need to market your actual strengths, but but not deceive at the same time. That's it's not that hard though. I mean, that part of it, it's like look at what you got, market to your strengths, and but had this
Jason secrets.
Yeah. I mean, and looking at like what we have in it, I mean, the good thing about this show potentially having multiple seasons is it does mean that we could see Barbie Girl come back as Ahsoka and young Clone Wars stuff. People keep going, make a Clone Wars show, do the Clone Wars thing, and it's like that's not really the way to get at that. I think this is the way to get at it. This is the way. That wasn't a pun. But this is the way to like do it, and then. But do more, definitely do more, because it was strong. It works. If they can come up with the angles to have Ahsoka revisit her past, and those memories and things like that, or for this to be an ongoing, if Anakin is still training her in the afterlife, because there are no Jedi, and I'm of the opinion that Ahsoka will become a full-on Jedi by the end of this. Maybe not the season, but of this TV series. She will return back into the Jedi fold. She was always a good Jedi. She was never the problem. She never had any philosophical differences with them that means she shouldn't be one. It was just that those bitches didn't go to bat for her when it mattered, and then she started suspecting that their convictions for their morals was weak as fuck, and she was right. But now that she's in a post Return of the Jedi environment. Well, Luke Skywalker on the up and up, who, for the most part, is a paragon of greatness and good and what a Jedi should be, brought Darth Vader back from the evil side to the good side. He was so fucking like on point for a Jedi in that moment that I think we could see Ahsoka go back to it. And the only thing going against it is that it kind of like means like, oh, well, she might bite the dust. They run into that episode 7 conundrum of anybody we throw into this Jedi school is likely gonna die or have to be written around, but it's not that big of a deal because look at Ahsoka. We thought she was gonna die for years. Every time we watched every episode of the Clone Wars, we're like, this bitch gonna die pretty soon. She gonna make this like every single time. And
Dave finds a way to conveniently have her be missing for the trilogy.
Yeah, wrote around it. Came up with different ideas and different concepts, and so that's why all of the people who end up in Luke's Jedi school. You should assume that they have a little crosshair on them by the time you get to that point in the timeline. But also, Ahsoka would likely have died of natural causes by then. Anyways, right? Like
unless she's invincible.
Unless she lives to be like 100 and something years old. I mean, she'd be up there. She would have if
Dave,
she was like
Dave just can't let it go. She got a hold on her.
It turns out Togrutas are like Benjamin Buttons, but they just get hotter as they get older.
Actually, no. What it is that she died when she went to the World Between Worlds with Anakin, and then she died also when she went there last time, right?
And now she's a Highlander.
No. She started a new life, so she's got at least another 100 years.
Oh, okay.
She started from scratch again, but with all the knowledge and the physicality of what she had before.
But I heard that Notia was like the Highlands. And she could be a Highlander. I'm not saying she is, you guys. I'm just saying don't take it off the table. You know what I mean? But anyways, I
heard Queen's doing the soundtrack for next week's episode.
Did I ever tell you about what I talked to Clancy Brown? I have a good picture of me with Clancy, but it's a bad picture of me. Good picture of Clancy. And we were at
only ever seen a picture of you with Warwick Davis.
Okay, yeah. I saw the opening 4 episodes of Rebels with Clancy Brown and his son. His kid like loved Star Wars, was like really into it. It was cool. And you could tell that he felt cool that his son thought he was cool. You know what I mean? Like it was a nice thing, it was. But we're like talking and like, I'm trying to be like cool, like not just be like, you are the fucking Kurgan, bro, you know. But I, of course, had to fucking address the Kurgan with them, you know. And then I was just like, and so my thing to him is I told him, like, it's rad that you're all these characters in Star Wars now, but all of these people will never have a theme song written for them by Queen, just you and Flash. And that's pretty fucking cool, man. He was like, yeah. You know, so I was like, it is pretty cool. Bad Bunny's Ball says, if Ahsoka is trapped in the new galaxy and Ezra and Sabine aren't, how would a season 2 work? So I think it would be that like you lose that power up. That's the Ahsoka Tano Jedi Master like level of skill, and then now you have Ezra Bridger, who is philosophically on the right path. At least that's what we saw by the end of Rebels. Then we have Sabine, who's lost and needs like positive encouragement to embrace that kind of future, if she even does. And then so you would end up with Ezra
Ahsoka probably be in the other galaxy exploring the ways of the Force there, and like
and she might be stopping other things from she might be doing. We don't know what other threats there could be there. We don't know what she, you know. I would imagine that either they would write her out of the show and the next thing would be something else, like an Ezra Bridger show, for instance, and it's just not dealt with in that way, and then we would catch up.
That would be a terrible title.
That would be a terrible.
Just Ezra.
Yeah, Ezra's house, and he's like, you know, but yeah, it would be it would make sense because you do need to separate the apprentice from the master. I mean, like, just look at what Phantom Menace does. Obi-Wan Kenobi is just like, yeah, Qui-Gon, you're fucking dumb, dude. You're picking up assholes, dude. You're dumb. And then by the end of it, you do have to remove Qui-Gon from the chessboard for Obi-Wan to become self-actualized, become a Jedi, and so on. The masters can't do it. It's like, it's the episode 8 conundrum. You bring Luke back. Well, you can't bring Luke straight up back, or it's just the problem solved. You have to have Luke have an emotional issue, a problem that makes him feel less than Luke, and the refusal to be Luke. And Ahsoka's already done that. We've already had that story with Ahsoka. We can't do that again anytime soon. And so the thing is to actually remove her after she has given her apprentice the message and motivation that she needs to do the right thing and to make amends for literally selling out the galaxy for her space brother boyfriend. Like we said, we don't know what their Pornhub status is, so it could be a weird thing. He might kiss her when he sees her. They might just be like, "It's my sister." We don't know what to expect from that side of things, but
I fully expect it just to be like sister.
Straight on fucking force fucking.
No.
You said it. You said force fucking, and you guys heard him. He said straight up. And that's not like force in a bad way. It's like in a good way. Like I'm using the, you know, force.
Don't
push.
even. Yeah.
No, don't do it.
Don't need to push for it. No.
But yeah, I think I can see it going, you know, that way, just in terms of what they've changed from the original story. But if we did keep up with the Star Wars Rebels thing and that opening where he's like, "Hey, you're like my sister," I felt like that was put in there to let the audience know that it wasn't romantic, that she wasn't pining for a lost lover. If you've never watched Rebels and you just see this girl who wants this fucking hot space Aladdin guy from another galaxy back, you're going to assume it's for romantic reasons. I think.
No offense to this guy either. No offense to Iman Esfandi, right?
No, he's good looking. Fuck him. He's slaying it. We're having to work here. We're having to work. He's not working for shit. He's just like my locks. God took my locks. Sorry.
He's in the process of taking mine too. But but that's why I believe there is no God. It's because he's done this to me. I'm like Larry David.
Larry David says if prayer worked, he would have hair.
Yeah.
And he's right.
So Iman Esfandi, like, he's a good-looking dude in general, right?
Oh yeah.
But when he's got a beard and his like long hair, that dude, he be fucking. You know?
He be fucking. Yeah.
Like.
Well, it depends on the girl though. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I'll shave. I'll have a little baby face, and then I'll have a interest in from different people than when I have a beard. but it depends. But I'm gonna pull it out there. I think Sabine is fucking both ways, and I think she likes her women smooth. I think she likes her men rough. I think she likes the
It's
polarity.
like I show people pictures of Oscar Isaac, right? And I show them
Yeah,
without the beard, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's all right." But anytime I show him with a beard, they're like, "Oh, I'm fucking him."
Really?
You know?
Really?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
There we go. I mean,
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna Max. Are you still in the chat, Max? Because I know Max. Max sees the beard. She's on it. She's on it.
Yeah.
Ezra.
Yeah.
Ezra's getting fucked. Yeah. So are we in Peridia next episode? I would say so. Yeah. I'm pretty just convinced circumstantially that we are. And I never heard that name during production. I always heard of
States, Florida.
Notia or Notia. Yeah, Notia was what I had heard about. And I always said, like, I don't know if it's the first place to go or the second place to go. And so, but I'm still like, I still have a little bit of confusion. I haven't looked close enough at the show as a text itself, so to speak, to say, like, is Peridia the galaxy name or is it the planet? Do we have that? Do we know that, for instance, whether it's one or the other? Because I'm not positive from memory right now. So I still don't actually know the answer to that. But my assumption is that Peridia is a place. They will go there, and then maybe Ezra is on the cell phone planet of Notia.
Mm-hmm.
Star Wars Anna says, well, there are theories that Ahsoka will return to Mortis and stay there. Yeah, that, like, I've played with that thing myself, considering that it's Dave Filoni, it's his story, it's the continuation of his story. But we've also seen, like, how he has sort of changed those symbols over time. And, like, I could be wrong, but I think we even see some of those Night Sister symbols in the Mortis thing, which just says, like, all of this is the central cosmic answer to things, but accessed and interpreted different ways, probably. But that said, there's been absolutely zero buildup or retelling or anything about how she's died before. There's been zero telling about what her and Anakin went through. She literally was with Anakin, and they could have had the conversation. That was the time to do it. The real estate for that would have been
one of the flashbacks could have been like them on
Mortis, yeah. And him going, you know, you're gonna live or you're gonna die, and then she could have said something like, "I've died before," and then he could have said, "Yeah, well, we made the choice for you." Like, there was things that could have, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But now you have to choose, kind of thing. And and they didn't do it, so I wouldn't take it off the table in forever. I do think that at some point Filoni may want to bring. Filoni always likes. I feel like Filoni has like a majors and minors kind of like perspective. He seems to go and he tries things out in the big picture now in the cartoons. Then he redoes his ideas better in live action. He does his 2.0 idea, makes it even better. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we got something like that going forward. And the question I always have about that movie is the Star Wars films, and I think Filoni's films, even most of them, there's usually you have your action, your Han Solo-y stuff, and then you have your spiritual stuff. And I don't think he's going to do only one. So how do you go and make a movie where the spiritual stuff matters, where it's strong, where like the Force, where where it's intriguing, where it makes a mark and stuff like that? And we have no idea. We only know the political climate of what we think where that movie will take place and what it would be. And we don't really know what's the mystical side of this, you know? And so I wouldn't count it out, but I don't think we're going to see anything from that in this, personally. I would bet against it. But Skywalker says she'd be 75 years old, which is about life expectancy. But also
she's now 3 days old.
Oh, because she's been reborn.
Reborn.
Yeah. Purgatory. Yeah, Ahsoka needs her own ball rag. Star Wars says, if Ahsoka were to return to Mortis, could she be essentially immortal? Well, I don't know. Like the idea as we originally saw it was that the father was a previous chosen one. And then he was the one who was sort of keeping the anchors at bay, right? Of good and evil, and the father, or the son and the daughter. Then we know that if the son kills the daughter is used to resurrect Ahsoka, and she's brought back. And we know that by that logic, Anakin would take the place of that in some way. I don't know if he wants to, but I guess he'd have to. But then we know by the time we get to this point in time, balance is already messed up again. So how does that work? Because that's the whole thing is Anakin brings balance to the Force like very briefly, and then Palpatine comes back. He does it and he slows it down, but then we know that it goes right back to where it was. We know that like Palpatine's out there. He didn't get rid of the galaxy's cancer. He simply pushed it out a little bit. You know,
Do you think
he gave
any of
us
the sequel trilogy characters become part of that?
Yeah. Well, like the thing is, how literal is the father, the son, and the daughter concept?
Mm.
You know, like, because in the big picture, is Rey a chosen one?
I
Does
am
Rey?
all the Jedi.
Yeah, and she does destroy Palpatine at the end, and so it's like, so that means we would have Rey replacing Anakin in that kind of concept. So it we mean Anakin does it for 30, 40 years. And then he's like, well, I'm going to bang Space Natalie Portman. Thanks, Rey. It's been swell. I'm glad. Have good. Maybe we could let Kylo Ren be the son here. That's weird because you guys kissed, but whatever. You know, it would. I don't know. I don't think any of this really makes sense.
Unless it's Anakin, Ahsoka, Kylo.
Yeah. And then Lucas at one point was going to have it where Leia was the actual chosen one the whole time. He was going to have it where it was her. And so it's like, you know, you could have, and then the end of Clone Wars has that metaphorical 3-leaf leaf thing on the trees, which was Anakin, Luke, and Leia. And so I kind of think that in a way, off of that narrative, that would be the implication, was that they were the new ones, but kind of doesn't make sense in terms of like you have the chosen one keeping the two opposing forces at bay, kind of idea, or in balance. So yeah, I don't think it really makes like a ton of sense at this point. It feels very contradictory, and if they ever want to revisit it, they're going to have to untangle a lot, which is making me think they just never will. They'll just be like, yeah.
Also,
go ahead.
It's got a lot to bring into from an animated show. It's a lot of lore and history. That's such a big thing to bring from an animated show into this.
Yeah.
And then how to put that into the larger Star Wars lore.
Right.
You know? Because that will be so important to the overall story of Star Wars that it would need to be accessible to like so many more people. Because it fundamentally changes everything.
We were questioning, like, when Ahsoka's in that dream space, is she in the same place? Is that just a different manifestation of the same kind of idea and concept? It could go either way, right? I mean, it's like, it's spiritual mumbo jumbo. It's not real. And all of it is just meant to play with the fate of character to push in a direction. So that's why I am interested in it, but I don't take it too seriously, because you could literally do the same concept by just having a character go into a cave and see his father with his face, you know, that kind of shit. There's all these ways of getting at these same beats and the same like motivations and stuff. But yeah, but you know, so that's, but we gotta Max knows it's true. If you're Harry, watch out. Max will make you happy. All right. Anyways, it's KK's fault. We all know it's KK's fault. Everybody. Rick, you got COVID. Rick says COVID is weak. I am strong. Whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger. Oh shit. I hope you're doing okay, man. I hope it's a real chill one and you're just able to play video games and relax for a bit, you know. But what does this say? Not many. Louis Tully from Ghostbusters says, not many really consider the cash grabbing sequels to be canon. They're just random nonsense. No, they're not. And I'm just letting you know, it's okay if you don't like them. You're totally entitled to your opinion.
100%.
But Dave Filoni is going to treat them as if they were books in the Bible, and write into them in that way. It will go that way. You will see. But I am with you in the sense that what always made me mad about the era was how sort of like, oh, I can't deal with all this nerd shit. There's just too much. And then they just kind of like moved on and told made up the easiest story for them in that moment. And I always thought that was methodologically speaking, very lazy and weak on the J.J. Abrams part. You know,
do you expect anything less from J.J. Abrams?
Now, no. At the time, though, I thought, oh, maybe this is where, he really, steps up. And for 7, I mean, he did. He delivered what they wanted and what they needed. And then there was so much ambiguity. You're like, well, okay, I guess. And then people really go on that episode 9, the Duel of the Fates script. But I can tell you, I read the other version of it. And the other version, the second draft, they just go and plug and play names. Like it was a plug and play job. It wasn't, they didn't know what they were doing.
I don't think Duel of the Fates is very good.
It's not.
But the only thing I do appreciate about it is that it is connected to the 8th one. It is connected to Lost Jedi. It feels like it is, even if it's not a great script, if it's not a great movie, it does feel connected. And it's not just a U-turn on every decision made in it. And it does feel like a connected trilogy. Even if there's certain things I think it's weird that like Hux is collecting lightsabers, but like it is more of a cohesive story for the trilogy than JJ is coming and being like, no, I'm just gonna do what the fuck I want, because that's what he did. Like, and
but I mean, but also like when you put it that way, it puts way more confidence and self-esteem behind it than what he really had. He was just like he was shitting his pants the whole time. He was moving back. I heard stories of people that were just insanely frustrated because they stayed late one night to do one of his stupid changes, only to have him go and then change it basically back to the first thing. And it was just back and forth all the time. Like is
he Vin Diesel?
He wasn't the right man for the job. And that's at the end of the day what it comes down to. And the person who put him there also helped bring us that Willow. And I'm like, ooh, I am not a fan.
That person also did give us Rogue One and greenlighted a lot of these shows. So
kinda
there's that. I'm doing that just for the person who doesn't like the sequel trilogy, because they probably don't like Kathleen Kennedy.
No, it's but that's what I think is the like great thing about the Star Wars stuff, is when there turns out like there's going to be eras you don't like. I don't like I don't like the Old Republic era. I just don't like it. I don't like how it looks. I don't like how it feels. I don't like how we go back in time in that way, all that kind of stuff. Like if they ever do anything with it, they're gonna have to sell me on it, not just because they connected with a video game I had like 30-40 hours to connect with. Like I think but once again, I'm glad it exists. I'm glad people like it. I just stay away from it. I just don't really read books set in that time, or just don't really give a shit, about it. I just kind of go on with it.
One thing I see a lot of from people who've never even played these games are like, people like, go do KOTOR, go and do the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't do KOTOR because people's experience with that game is different to others. Like you will have hashtag not my Revan. That will be a thing.
Yeah.
Like
I played Revan was a girl.
Exactly, yeah. And if they decided to make Revan a girl, like you have all those guys who played as a dude, be like livid. And I think it's too complicated to do it. I wouldn't do it personally. I'd remake the games as they're doing, and if they do well enough, there's enough in interest, do a third game, a true third. Not the Old Republic, but a true third.
KOTOR. Well, that was the thing though, was that in the Old Republic they did. I
know.
They finished his story up of what it would have been. Yeah. So it's like, I know the story. I enjoyed that part of it too, by the way. That was one of the most fun parts. Was Revan's there? He's been frozen. It was fun. I did enjoy that part, but
I usually get it from people who have never played the games, who are like, they should do KOTOR. I want to see KOTOR just because they've seen some like CGI like trailers on YouTube. They're like, oh, this is awesome. I want to see this on a big screen. Like,
but everything like goes before and after those moments might be cringe inducing. Like I'm not a big fan of like the trailers when you just have like, oh, there's 17 red lightsabers. Oh my god, I just came. Like it's just not that. It's very simple. It's not very deep. There's not a lot there really. But Ben says, I don't like the High Republic stuff, but guess what? That's fine. For people that like it, cool. Does not mean we have to pom for every project. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly my perspective. And that's how I feel about the High Republic as well. But also where I'm like, Acolyte is their chance to win me over to the whole thing. And that's honestly where it matters. I mean, because you could have a reality where the books for the High Republic were fantastic and everything was so good and deep and oh my god, the lore, it's the best. And then you get the show and it's dumb. Like that could easily have happened. For me, I think it's gonna have to go the other way where the show is so good that now I'm like, okay, this is permeating into that stuff,
Yeah, and, like I said, for me, what I want whether it's Taika or somebody else, I want somebody to do new characters, new galaxy, new time. You need to evolve Star Wars. You can still do the original trilogy era shows and whatever else you want to do, but we need to take a step forward, in the films to a different time, because Star Wars is just like leveled out.
Yeah.
I will bring this up to you actually, right? So, one of my friends does a podcast, and on that podcast, I didn't speak to them, so I couldn't debate them on this, right? But on said podcast, they said that Anakin Skywalker and Episode 5 in general was a massive pop culture moment. Pop culture, not Star Wars fandom, which I think it is. I think if you're just talking about Star Wars fandom, it is truly a huge moment in that culture and in that fandom, right? Because you're rewarding prequels fans, Rebels with the end of it, Clone Wars, wherever else. That does not like permeate into actual pop culture. And
no, I would disagree with that.
My belief is because the guy also tried to say that Luke Skywalker in season 2 also was a big moment for pop culture. I think that got closer, right? I think the last big pop culture moment that Star Wars had is Grogu.
So with that, like in terms we're talking about like a pop culture moment, that means it's permeated into the culture itself beyond and that kind of stuff. And like there was that scene in Clerks 3 where he mentions like, the good Luke Skywalker shows up, like not the Last Jedi Luke Skywalker, like that whole joke. And so it's like, okay, so I do have a frame of reference to say it broke out. I mean, but Clerks would try that anyways, but it did break. Yeah, Clerks would, but it did show up in Clerks. So it did make it there. But when I go to watch some, like, when I'm in a waiting room at the doctor's office and they have some sitcom on or something like that, I don't hear them making jokes about that stuff. I don't hear it being referenced. And the on the Luke thing, I disagree that it would be a big pop culture moment, but I also don't think anybody could even actually know yet because it hasn't had time to permeate. I mean, we don't 14 million people saw it or something, maybe, right? Like it's not really there yet. If it's going to be, it's not yet.
But it's like, I don't know. So the reference I had for this year was the biggest pop culture moment of this year was Barbenheimer. Like that had an impact. That was like, again, it was a meme. It was like all those lines of people going to see it, whatever. That was a big pop culture moment. I don't think that Anakin Skywalker in Episode 5 of Ahsoka is that. I think it's a huge moment in the Star Wars fandom and the Star Wars culture.
For Star Wars, yes.
Right.
Yeah. But for Star Wars fans, definitely huge. No taking away from that.
No doubt about it.
But
same thing when Luke shows up in Mando Season 2. But my argument is I don't think Star Wars has had a true pop culture moment since Grogu. Since Grogu became the phenomenon that he was, you got the big parade with his float there. You've got all these kids running around with him. He's all over the TV.
Oh, when I drop my kids off to school in the morning, there's moms dropping off kids in Grogu sweatpants. There's kids with Grogu backpacks and stuff like that. But that's also like cultural phenomenon and pop culture moments. Like, I think it depends on how deep you would take the pop culture moments to be, like how expansive you would make it. But I really don't see the stuff that happened in that episode or in that show, and with Anakin coming back, showing up anywhere else or being relevant to the larger actual like culture at all. I don't see. I in fact, I think I could probably walk around all day asking people about it and not being able to connect with one stranger about it. Probably, you know what I'm saying? Like if you just went to the grocery store and they had a Star Wars shirt, and I'd be like, what are you talking about? They probably wouldn't have any idea. So I don't think that's really that big of a thing. And like you and I were talking about this in a conversation kind of on the same page as this. We don't really see like these things becoming like super memeable. We don't hear like lines from these shows necessarily becoming that big of a thing. Movies. And that's where Mando did a good job with This Is the Way. It's like the closest thing to a May the Force Be With You that they've had on all this time. But outside of that, you don't hear like the prequels had 20 years to become memes, to get memed.
But the prequels also had so when the internet in itself was sort of still in its infancy when the prequels was releasing, and the people that connected with the prequels were people my age. It was people who are now in their 20s specifically. Right. And as they became more and more prominent on the internet, they have those memories. Like, this is where the fun begins. Like, even those like small, memeable moments, as the defense of the prequels happens online, that also culture of those people who grew up with them is also brought forward onto the internet as well.
Right.
That could happen with, or a version of it could happen with the kids who grew up with the sequels. Like, I don't know if it's anything into this like funny as a line,
but it's written conservatively well on that front that you don't have too much that really pops out. Sort of like I watched The Dark Knight this week, and you have that line, some men just want to watch the world burn. You have that, right? That's the thing I think you would still hear in the pop culture. But beyond that, the lines are well written for the most part.
Do you know how I got these scars as well?
Yeah, and so there's a couple of quotable moments from it, but also at the same time, when something is like really well written, less stylized in terms of the more stylized it gets and away from reality, the easier it is to meme it, I think. And so they kind of went really conservative with a lot of their dialogue after the prequels on those films. So there's less fun stuff. So it's going to take people growing up with it. And that shared experience, because that's like the other thing. It's like with Barbenheimer, millions of people saw Barbie, right? So you can make enough jokes all you want, and a large amount of people will understand it, and that allows the joke to delight and then to permeate once again into the pop culture. The Ahsoka episode with Anakin, I don't see it having any of that exposure or the possibility for it, but
even in terms of like a pop culture moment, not even just like that it resonates for years to come in pop culture, but speaking in the now, it didn't make an impact in the grander scheme of things, but it did in the Star Wars culture and the fandom. It was a huge moment for us.
Oh, huge moment for us.
Huge moment for us. But in the larger scope of it all, it's not even a drop in the bucket.
No, I didn't. There was no. Can you believe what happened on Ahsoka last night on the fluff section of the news or any of that? Whereas, like when Lost was going on, they would sometimes do that. They were like, there was a huge moment on Lost last night, and stuff. Yeah.
Game of Thrones, Lost, Breaking Bad, those would go further.
For sure.
In the case of Game of Thrones, for better or for worse, people still know that stuff. They know that Bran ended up being king, and they're not happy with it, and wherever else. But
some never forgot that the Khaleesi got naked. I never did. I know I never did. I never forgot. I never forgot that ever. no matter what. It's like a good 9/11, and I never forgot it. The Ray of Water says, does Revan's gender matter? I don't
To
actually
some
think
people,
so.
unfortunately, it does.
To some people it does, but in reality, like
It shouldn't.
like in terms of the character's arc and stuff like that, and what happens to the character, where they go, and no, it's totally irrelevant. I wouldn't say whenever I see Revan's story, I think of that's a male experience, or that's exclusively a female or a woman's experience, or the narrative is enhanced by the fact if Revan's a woman here, or detracted by it being a man or something like that. No, and I feel the same way about Rey and a lot of the more androgynous, less sexualized characters in Star Wars for the most part. When I say Rey's not really androgynous, but she's pretty asexual, she doesn't really, she has like a tender kiss with Kylo at the end with Ben, but before that she's pretty much like,
it felt like there was a little bit of tension in 8.
A little bit,
the elevator,
a little bit, yeah, a little bit. But
like she gets presented like in when she first boards the ship's almost like she's in like a Snow White sort of imagery when she's like in the the little pod thing she came out of and holding the lightsaber like by her chest,
Yeah. Her little space coffin, her little escape pod. Yeah. I mean, there's like I said, it's real subtle. There's enough for the Reylos to get into.
Oh yeah.
Not for them.
I think if Ryan did 9, though, I think because he is the one who put those moments in there, and I think he would have not saying they would have been true Reylo or anything like that, but I think he would have had like a little bit more like of the Spocks in there.
Well, his reading of the psychology of the characters as established in the previous films, I think is pretty on. And in terms of like that theme, I think he misunderstands the balance of the Force when he talks about it. I think he actually messes that up. But when it comes to like that kind of stuff, like the idea that like only love can save you or will save you, I think Ryan wouldn't have forgot that. No. You know what I mean? And since they're not brother and sister, they're not that kind of thing. I think he would have developed it more, for sure. Yeah. And I actually think Ryan would have had Rey's abandoning of Kylo have been wounding to him, which then made him worse, but also was the thing that would have brought him back to the realization that he's being a total piece of shit and to do the right thing. And it was sort of weird that the way that JJ grappled with that instead of doing what was obviously just right there and would have worked just fine, but everything, I just mostly just don't like any choices that he made in that movie for the most part. So it doesn't surprise me, but your battery is about to die. I would take it. We need to probably wrap up here, right?
It's on charge, like as I'm doing this, so it's fine. Yeah. You can read more if you want.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure you're not like sweating, But yeah. So, anyways, does gender tend to matter on the protagonist of these stories? For the most part, no. I don't think so at all. And I think that that can be good. It can be good in terms of being accessible to everybody, for everybody to connect with the character. At the same time, though, if we want to talk about like what cultural responsibilities does Star Wars have to its audience, well, yeah, maybe there are moments in Star Wars where we could teach, boys how to be good men and stuff like that more. Maybe there are specific moments in time, stories that could be told that do that. But are they doing that? They're not, in my opinion. And for the little fairy tale aspects of it, like usually I don't really know what their meaning is in some of their stories lately. So are we going forever today? Great. Yeah. Hey man, if he's got the battery, but hey, how's it?
Mumbo Jimbo wants us to go. I think that's him saying, "Hey,
like, get the fuck out."
Lost. Yeah,
get lost. Yeah. He's like, we're going fucking. Shell says, as much as I like Ahsoka, I'm just tired of the same characters over and over. I don't want Vader or Anakin. And it's like, yeah. So like, you're going to be happy because this show is the one that's doing that. This is the one that's like delivering the
But also,
want
Ahsoka herself is a
Mhm.
legacy character at this point, though.
True.
You know,
With
it's like what I
connections
said
to those
earlier.
characters. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like what I said earlier. Though I want this now to go not all together. I think like they used to have the Disney Plus shows, you know, dabbling in like the time and the eras that we know. But I think there's time to move to something new. Still have everything else there, but have something new being built on the forefront.
Yeah.
There is times that, like, because they made this big deal of it's the end of, and I know you sort of disagree with me on this, but
Mhm.
like they made this big deal. It's the end of the Skywalker saga, right?
Mm-hmm.
With the
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker. The next theatrical film they're releasing is with the lead of those three movies.
Oh, I agree with that. I think that's weak. I don't think that was the right way to go.
My brother, he likes Star Wars, but he's nowhere near like what
Mhm.
we are to it, right? He's casual about it. He likes the prequels a lot. He loves Anakin. He's not the Star Wars theory guy, but you know what I mean. Like
Mhm.
he's yeah. So he asked me the other day about the movies because he was like, "What are they doing?" And I explained it to him. So he said, "Oh, we're basically in episode 10." I was like, "It's not episode 10, but he's like, yeah, but it's a Skywalker's thing." They said like the done with Skywalker. She's Rey Skywalker. And I was like, "Yeah, I know." Like,
Mhm.
you know, and I explained to him like, "Yeah, you've got that. You got the floating movie. Then you got these." I told him some of the other ones, like obviously Mangold and Tycho's supposed to be different and wherever. He's like based on cooler, like the
Yeah.
Mangold one specifically. Like, but yeah, but he was
Right.
like, "Yeah, so it's like episode 10 basically." I'm like, "It's not, but it is carrying on the Skywalker thing, even though they said they were leaving it."
Mhm.
Um, I do think they need to move on, and I think that they've put themselves, they've done this to themselves essentially
Mhm.
because they had all these ideas, whether it was Benioff and Weiss to come out and do a different series of movies, different time, and they've had project fall through after project fall through, whether that's their fault or not, and now they're in a point where they have a film out by the time it comes out in 2026, in however many years, 8, 7 years, and
Mhm.
they want to go into a position of safety, right?
Right.
And then obviously the box office being what it is as well is a factor into that. You have the current
Yeah.
climate and the current box office, and you have them not having a film out in 7, 8 years. They've resorted back to safety. They want to
Yeah.
go and handle Mandalorian stuff. They want to go and do the race stuff, and then maybe after that they'll try something new, something fresh.
Yeah.
So in terms of like what Ray is saying in terms of like characters, they want to move on from those. I sort of want to start moving on from everything that we know
Mhm.
currently because I
Yeah.
think that's what we might need for it to grow somewhat.
Yeah. I mean, I would be okay with them doing an episode 9, post episode 9 era TV shows, and it just being a bunch
Mm-hmm.
of stuff, and then we end up on the other side of that with a new that just makes what comes next. I would be fine with that. But also, like, to hit his point though, yeah, the Ahsoka show is super dirt, but then you're gonna get Acolyte, and then with Acolyte, it's mostly going to be just all new, non-connected stuff in a lot of ways, without too many connections. But we are always going to live in the same. It will always be the same universe. So there will, Acolyte Yoda will be there. You know what I mean? It's stuff like
But
that's
like
going to
what
happen.
I think they
But
need to do is move.
yeah,
I think they can still have all these other things going on. But I
yeah, we
think
can
they
do
need to do
they
something.
could do two things at once. Like, why
Yeah,
can't they? Right?
yeah, of course.
Uh, we predicted this one, didn't we? Ray of Water says someone on Reddit claims Taika's movie got canned.
Oh, it's been going on since like I texted you about this the other day. I
Mhm.
said that on Twitter, I think there was the My Time to Shine hello person, and there's movie leaks. Movie leaks on Reddit, by the way, is awful. They're never right about anything, right?
Mhm.
That had it, and My Time to Shine. All these people were like, "Oh, it's canned, it's finished, it's cancelled." Like
Mhm.
it's because of the joke. And they
Because
always
of the
quote
joke.
that the thing that we covered in an article of mine last week, where like I
Yeah.
had it word for word and said, "Hey, you can watch the video. He's being sarcastic. He's joking. Like that's what
Yeah.
Taika does."
Oh, trust me, man. I make dumb, bad jokes all the time, and I've had them used against me as if I was saying I believe that stuff. People do not understand facetiousness, sarcasm. Like, the internet is full of a bunch of fucking face
They
blind morons.
they saw the quote of
Mhm.
Taika saying, hopefully maybe he can finish a Star Wars script that I couldn't or whatever, and they thought, oh, that's they fan mathed it. Oh, that means it's done. It's not happening. But in reality, it's Taika being Taika.
Taika wouldn't be so light about it if that had actually happened. His in reality, he would probably be somewhat crushed, and then the joke would have the joke itself would be a different animal if he made the joke at all.
Yeah,
I think
like Taika took to Twitter like before he signed on for Star Wars when he's rumored for it, and said he wouldn't do a Star Wars movie because he'd actually want his movie to get made. Like, if Taika was going to be making jokes, he would be a bit more crass about it. He would be a bit more like on the head with the joke. And what typically happens in these sort of scenarios as well is like one of the actors or directors or whoever will make a comment, and usually it's a trade that comes up and says, "Yeah, this isn't happening anymore. It's not moving forward." You know, there was no trade that comes and said Taika's movie is now dead. This is the thing we've had over the years with Taika is none of the trades have ever come and said the Taika's thing is indefinitely delayed or dead. You know, but they've done it with Jenkins and Feige and whoever else. You know, Taika is people just need to.
Yeah, what ends up happening is that Taika's reps will start going around making deals for Taika and getting Taika meetings and people who want to talk. You know, DC wants to talk to Taika. Let's pretend, and then they'll be like, "Well, what's Taika got? Like, what's our schedule? Like, can we work with Taika in 2026?" And they'll go, "Well, he's got Star Wars, right?" And then, well, there you go. Okay, then it's still around. They might hear that, but when they hear that Star Wars thing, don't hold your breath on that. I think we can do 2026 or 2027, that kind of thing. That's when those people start tipping the trades off, and then the trades start going, oh yeah, they're looking to put Taika in a picture in this time. There's no way he's doing Star Wars anytime soon, or it is dead. And then they might ask for clarification and get it. And that's like how this tends to like go. And as you pointed out, we've never had them go, Taika's movie's dead. It's never
happened. It's never happened. And like, if anything, when there starts to be rumblings that what's happened, like at Celebration, they announced the 3 movies and they showed the timeline thing, and there was no mention of Taika whatsoever. And then it was around that time they came out and was like, the tradesman, Taika's thing is still in development. Taika is looking to star in that as well. You know, he's not going to lead it, but he'll have a role.
Right.
And that also, it came out in a few months after that he's hoping to shoot it in 2024. Right. You know, like he's still hopeful about this movie and wants to get it made. So the Taika movie isn't dead. You know, and
it's as alive as it ever was. But how alive that is, we could debate until the cows come home. But
if when the strikes are over and Taika submits a script like next year, and they're like, "This is awful," and he's like, "Well, I've had 2 cracks at it. I'm done. Like, I'm not doing it." Like, you know, Kathy, I think, will not tell you. I don't think Lucasfilm at all will ever tell you that it's dead. The trades might tell you, and they'll use this thing of, well, like she was doing at the Celebration. Well, development takes a long time. Blah, 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 like, you know, doing that thing. Like, and it's about scheduling and all this. Like, they'll never tell you it's delayed or cancelled, like indefinitely, but we'll know. You know?
Oh yeah, like, no. It'll be clear. Yeah. It'll be clear, and no one will know. Right now, Taika's not even allowed to talk to them.
No,
about anything. So they couldn't say, Taika, you're fired. Like they wouldn't even. They wouldn't. They didn't even tell Homeboy. Right? Yeah,
they didn't tell Simeon, but
they not told a lot of people that they're fired.
Well, Patty Jenkins did one of the things, like when it was all coming out that she was like done. She was like, "I haven't heard this," and then like I think it was months later, she said something like, "Well, it looks like it's not happening." Like, So, but no, but Taika still I think could take meetings with Disney as a director, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's where Taika folds in.
He could.
Yeah.
But I doubt he could.
I doubt he will.
With Lucasfilm about a Star Wars movie to direct though. When he's the writer, I think that might be crossing a line. I don't know.
But then Christopher Nolan, who's the director of Oppenheimer, was also the writer of it. He was able to promote the movie.
Yeah.
So I think he could still talk as a director.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I mean, I think you should ask Drew Barrymore.
I think you shouldn't. Oh,
I think
yeah.
I think you should ask Drew Barrymore what she thinks and do whatever she says.
Did you watch all of that, like the fallout of that?
I know a bit of it in passing.
Yeah. Well, did you see the apology video?
No, I know it was out, but I didn't watch it.
It was dreadful. It was the
Really?
most like phoned in and like PR thing that you've ever seen, and that's why she took down the video and then just came out and said that it's like it's now on like hold, the premiere of that show.
Yeah.
But like she was like they were going through people's bags and like checking for like WGA stuff, and they were like sending people out who were like wearing pins, you know.
Yeah.
One thing that they would do, which apparently like people were doing, like writers, which I thought was hilarious, was you can get tickets to the show. So what they were attempting to do was all like trying to get tickets and then nobody show up.
Oh, right.
You know,
make it where
like,
only the overfill gets in, and if there's even
and then replace people like in the audience with actual crew members. You know, like stuff like
yeah.
that. I thought that was a funny idea.
Yeah, that was a good idea. It would work for a while, but then they would just start opening up unlimited tickets, and then the overfill would build. But anyways, at first that would be disruptive, though. Shell says, Jason, what are you hearing about Mando season 4? Season or movie, scripted rights? I heard that, like I said, I heard that there was an idea at Disney. I heard that the creatives hated that idea because they have too much story to tell, and it's just that's not the answer. And the other thing is on season 4 is that I don't believe Favreau wrote final scripts for that. Favreau wrote did a write on the season, but he's not done. That's what from my understanding where things are. So
also,
that would have allowed them to have go ahead.
Also, I put out that previously is 2025 is when they're hoping to release it.
Okay. Yeah. So 2025, and so like when they
that was pre strikes as well, and still the thought now is still 2025.
When they write the first draft of like the scripts, that will allow them to have like locations, costumes, the settings and stuff like that ironed out, and then you can budget and begin a build even at some point whenever you want based off of that information. The writer just then sort of has to make a promise to themselves and to the company that like, if this takes place in the Notia Highlands, then it will stay there, and that's what it will be. You're kind of locked into those ideas. And I would imagine Favreau's ideas are concrete enough that that's what would happen. So I don't expect, I don't know. I still don't really expect it to come out on time though, even with all of that. And if it does, it's likely going to be a really half-assed, poor written season. The closer we get,
just like Mando 3.
Just like Mando 3. I mean, well, yeah.
And the Book of Boba Fett.
They were basically supposed to be getting ready to. They should have been building the stuff now, and
they were supposed to be shooting now.
And about they usually like they will shoot something in September. Usually it's like October is when it really is really on. And but yeah, this is where it should have been. That's all getting pushed. If he didn't break the strike at all, which let's just assume he didn't. I don't know why we would assume he would. He can't. He hasn't been able to revise any of that stuff this whole time. It's just sitting there waiting to be like finished, like truly finished. So yeah, I'm curious as to what we end up getting. I'm thinking it probably means the idea of like the Mando spinoff shows that we just get out of nowhere are less likely to happen. This kind of my takeaway would be they will have to focus on Mando 4, and that will be it. That's where they will have to sort of be really focused at that point. But at that time, we will be moving back into Movie Town. Movie Town's coming back. It would be going to movies to see Star Wars again. And I think with the return of the Star Wars films, we need less Star Wars television shows to not dilute the market and to make it where, okay, everything is important, not just throwing shit out from all directions all the time. So people say I'm green. I'm green today. That's cool.
I don't know. You were black and white on the Santa show the other day.
Yeah, Jason's got a slight green tint on my TV. Jason got special abilities. I'm not gonna lie, I ate Grogu. Mumbo says, barring a Lucasfilm catastrophe, the unlikely Taika movie wouldn't happen before the third already announced movie anyway, in my own opinion. So my stuff on that kind of shit, at the end of the day, I think it just simply ends up, I think what they're doing and where they're at is there's an idea of what they would like to happen, but then I think it comes down to who's ready to go right now. Like we're hitting 2027. Is Taika ready? Is Mangold ready? Is, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, that's just what will take that budget, that money, and that time, and that window. Yeah. Like, and so I think that's why they have. I mean, who's the other guy who we didn't talk about? What's his name?
We got Sean Levy.
Stranger Things. Yeah, Sean Levy. And we got a Sean Levy film. Sean Levy just recently said he was getting ready to get moving with moving his movie forward when
start development on it.
Yeah. And so right there, I mean, we have so many options for Lucasfilm at any of those points to be like, that's our next movie now. This is the one that's the most
the third
ready to
like,
go.
I was in the room for this announcement, like a celebration. Like, they just announced 3 movies. They didn't announce that like these are the 3 that'll happen and these 3 will land at these dates. They still haven't committed to, publicly anyway, what movies are on said dates. Like, we know from like sources and stuff that, and even if the trade have said it, that the May 2026 is supposed to be the Rey movie. The December 26th is supposed to be the Filoni movie. 27 doesn't really have anybody to it. It's too far away. Like, and like you said, they have all these things that have been developed. Taika is 3 years deep into this, and Sean Levy got signed on in like November. Like I said, he was about to start development pre-strike. But he has also said in the past that he won't actually commit his time to it until the release of Deadpool 3 has come and gone.
Okay.
Which is supposed to be in May 2024, but obviously we're in the middle of a SAG strike. Like, he was still filming during the WGA strike, but with SAG they've had to pause, so that won't come out then.
Did I dream this, or did they end up going and like finish filming without dialogue, knowing that they could just add ADR? Am I dreaming that? Did that happen?
They never finished. They paused.
Okay.
They were continuing to film when the WGA strike happened, and they paused once the SAG strike began.
Got it.
So you have that, and you have Taika, like I said, who's in 3 years of development. You have the Glovers writing a Lando thing, which could be streaming, could be theatrical, it could not even get released. Like, none of these things could get released.
Happen. Yeah.
Mangold, like, there was a lot of hope and optimism around him in the moment that he was announced, because at the same time he was premiering a new Indiana Jones show there, and there are a lot of expectations and hope for that movie. You know, it's obviously become a financial bomb. If we refer to Solo as a financial bomb, we definitely got to refer to Dial Destiny as one.
Big time.
So we don't know where they'll be, and all these people as well are also all very busy. Like, Mangold he's supposed to shoot his Bob Dylan movie that was supposed to start filming in August, and that didn't happen. So now that's on the, like, he's going to shoot that once this is done. He's also got to write Swamp Thing. Like, that could take priority at some point for him. Then you look at Taika, and Taika's got everything. Like, he's got the Oompa Loompa TV series, he's got the Tower of Terror movie, he's got possibly Akira. He's
the one thing going for it though is, like, when it comes to like how I wish we had somebody. I need somebody who's not in the industry anymore, who like used to be an agent, who's our friend, who will come on and like just talk this side of it. But from what I understand, because I may be misspeaking here, but from what I understand, like when you sign a deal, it's like there is sort of a priorities, like a list of priorities that must be fulfilled by the assignee. And so the deeper we get into this stuff, the more likely that Taika's Star Wars movie has precedent, that it has like, this needs to go before. And like, that's how we lost Patty Jenkins to Wonder Woman again. Like that kind of concept.
Which again is also a massive error on Lucasfilm's part and Disney's part, because they didn't vet that. They were just like,
well, they bet, they gambled and they lost is what they did.
It's the same thing with Pedro, where he gave The Last of Us first priority in his contract for that season.
Okay.
He didn't give it to Mando, you know, like he didn't have it in his contract.
No.
So,
With Mando, they wouldn't give it to him. They were like I reported a long time ago. They were like, "You're just a voice actor." He's like, "I'm an actor," and like there was tension there for that was, and that happened during season 1. People heard about the season 1 argument and are reporting it like it's happening today. This happened 2019.
But the thing is, with what I'm saying with, because they were
yeah.
supposed to shoot that in April, I think it was Mando 3 to begin with, and it got delayed.
Yeah.
But like, because then he had an unexpected, quote, unexpected gap in his schedule, which allowed him then to go and do Last of Us, which he gave first priority. And I think if he hadn't done that, he would have been in Mando 3, like, more. I think the story Mando 3 might have been slightly different, because he would have been there physically in moments they would have needed. This is like future-proof themselves, where if Pedro's not available, you don't need Pedro because of what they've now established, and they're coming together with Bo-Katan's clans or whatever else. But in terms of the filmmaker stuff, you know, we do hit a point, and again, we're not close enough to the point yet, where the 2027 movie will need to become defined as to who is going to do it and what that will be. Whether it's just to like schedule stuff for the talent around it, so like Taika, for example, who's got like probably the most on his plate out of everybody else. And then you go through that medium. But also there's the possibility of what, like me and you spoke about on Fortnite the other day, which is something new will happen and start to be developed and could bring momentum and gain confidence at Lucasfilm, which ends up being the one that gets made. And it's something we don't know about yet. It's nothing that's even being thought of, probably.
Yeah,
it's like the same.
John Knoll hasn't had that shower thought where he walks in Kathleen Kennedy's office and goes, "What if we told the story about how the Death Star plans got?" So, you know, that kind of thing. And they're like, "Let's do it." Yeah, you know.
We look back on Lindelof, which is the Rey movie. Obviously, he's not attached to it anymore, but it was his movie, and he started doing, according to Kathy in April, that movie had been in a form of development for 2 years, and we know that was his movie. So at that point, before this year, well, it's said towards the end of last year when we get into like Snyder and trades and whatnot, that the next movie was Taika. Like when Patty Jenkins couldn't hit the 2023 thing, they said it's Taika. Yeah. And at that point, Lindelof was writing his Rey movie, and they were still saying it's Taika. Taika's the next one, and that's changed now, where the next two is the Rey movie and Dave Filoni, and Taika hasn't got a scheduled date.
Well, people also forget that like Rogue One wasn't supposed to be the first Star Wars spinoff either. It was supposed to be Solo or Kenobi. And then it was looking like it was going to be Solo for a time, and then Rogue One just kind of came out of nowhere and then became the one, and Solo came later. And I was thinking about that. I'm like, because think about like how they messed up. Solo didn't fail or succeed because it was good or bad. It was just the wrong time in every way, and they fucked it up. They did it too soon. So it's like there's another reality where Solo came out and made $1 billion and told Lucasfilm that we only want characters as the names of our films in the movies. And then Rogue One came out and bombed, and they said, "Oh, we can't go too far from the well. It's gonna be bad." And like you know, that's in our multiverse. That's what happened, right? But yeah, so that's what's going to probably happen here as well. And like we say, like I believe when we name all these movies together, some of these movies are going to happen. But also, when you put all these movies together, how could they all happen?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
also, realistically, a trilogy mixed in that as well somewhere.
Right.
You know?
Right. And I would even Rian Johnson's trilogy could be the fucking thing that pops in somehow and pushes all these movies out. It's I don't think it's going to happen, but it could happen. It's in the realm of possibility that Ryan's ready to go in 2027 and nobody else is, and they're like, well, that's it. There it is.
Yeah, he might have already pushed out another Knives Out. He's obligated to do one more Knives Out movie.
Yeah.
He might already have that done and out and ready to come back and do something original, something new, and you know, we'll see. But at the moment, like there's that 2027 date, that third movie is not defined.
Yeah.
In any shape, and but me and you also believe that the slate will get delayed. Just from personal feeling, not from what we've been told necessarily. But the theory that we had was the Rey movie will move from the May 26th to December 26th. Thus, the Filoni one would be wherever date they had in 27 was it December. I can't remember. It was December, right? They had
December, yes.
And then the third movie could go into 2028 or even 2029, depending on like the Avatar schedule or something. So that movie is likely 5 years away. That third movie, a lot will happen in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, unless like, well, one last thing I wanted to talk about a little bit before, because like I am super cynical on the idea that they do a Disney Plus Star Wars movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think like in terms of their aims and goals and what their problem is, like in my opinion, their problem is how do we get people into the theater to pay us money into seats? How do we make that different than what Disney Plus is? How do we make that different than our TV shows? So our TV shows need to be a different animal than our movies, like moving forward. And then when I hear the idea that like Lando is a Disney Plus streaming film potentially, I go, wow, that would be such an error on their part that they won't do that. But when you look at what Disney Plus does, they do movies. They do make movies. It makes
they make at least the moment they're only doing movies they think is a good idea.
Yeah,
like that we had a period where they're just dropping like anything and anything. Like a couple months ago, we had a movie called Crater, which came and went. Like it was there for 3 weeks and then they removed it like fully.
Have we ever seen a Marvel get a movie on Disney Plus, or are we?
Marvel don't do movies on Disney Plus. They do special presentations, which are around an hour long.
Like the Halloween one, the spooky one.
Yeah, Werewolf by Night.
Yeah. So like that's where I go. Like I'm a bit like suspect of that happening, but if it does go that way, that might be a way of salvaging some of these concepts that will never make it to the theater, because that would be a travesty if there was just this like locker full of just Star Wars scripts that were really inspired and fun and good, and then like they just never get made because scheduling. You know what I mean, or something like that. Like, Sean Levy, he can't do it now. He's busy. He's doing, whatever. So it's like that would be a way of kind of fixing some of that, but I also think it would be, like I said, I do think it would be an error to not do things on Disney Plus. You can't do in the theater, and to not give us incentive to go to the theater. That's the big thing, and I think that's their big that's what they have to contend with right now. Baby Yoda, Grogu, is like the cultural phenomenon from the TV show, and then the films, like we will see Grogu on the big screen. I would assume when Filoni does his movie, but until then, it's like not really capitalizing on that.
With Grogu being a phenomenon, by the way, I don't think he's a phenomenon now. I think he was. I think he's just part of Star Wars now. I don't think he is when he came out that first year or so, I would say the first 2 seasons of Mando, he was a phenomenon. I think post that, he isn't. He's just a Star Wars character now. A likable one, and a popular one, but a character, just a Star Wars character.
No, there's no doubt that like Grogu mania has fucking faded. Like
it's gone.
He's Urkel season 4 right now. Like you had your time, Urkel. It's over. But at the same time, that they know they can sell it. They know they can. So I do believe they could bring Grogu back in that way, in a big way, if with the intent, if they knew what they were doing, if they intended to make it like for instance, we saw what an opportunity Grogu in the mech was, more than they did, I think, and some of the audience even in the big picture. But
we thought that was hilarious, and then when the articles came out and the video came out, like nobody gave a shit. And
the movie came out, nobody gave a shit. I was like, really? But I think that if there is a way, like Grogu can sell merchandise, like I'm going to assume like the parents I see at school before I drop the kids off wearing Grogu sweatpants I don't think they really know the deep lore of Grogu. I think they just think he's adorable and they just like him. So it's an opportunity for profit moving forward and stuff like that. So I could see that kind of thing happening, but I'm with you in that Grogu's his that window has sort of changed a lot on what they could do. Like they really should have developed that into a film a lot.
I think they might have overused it though. You know what I mean? I think if they had done the Boba Fett thing where he did go off, and we didn't see him for a long time. You know,
Yeah.
like we didn't see him for 2 years. Like he would come back to this big excitement, but they, I think they panicked and was like, well, I think Favreau said in one of his interviews somewhere that when he, and this is a problem with him as a writer, because he wrote himself into this corner, and I don't think he's talented enough to write himself out of it. Which is, he said he can't write Din without Grogu. Like, to him, they're together.
Yeah.
So when he writes the moment when like Grogu goes off with Luke Skywalker, and you know, maybe when he wrote it, it was ideal. Well, he said it was a year, right, that he was with Luke. So he wrote it in his mind. It's like he's gone for a year. What we should have had then is Din on his own, you know, and that story. And then it could be at the end of, say, Mando season 3 that Grogu returned to him, you know. And there's a big excitement in the fandom, which then could permeate into actual pop culture. But what they did with Grogu was he was huge when he first debuted, and then he hit another hit, like another big upward trajectory when all the merchandise finally came out, and it was Grogu Mania. Season 2 was Grogu Mania, and then we get to where we are now, and it's like he's now just a Star Wars. He's a popular Star Wars character, but he's just a Star Wars character. So I think by the time you roll around to the Filoni movie, having him in the trailer, having him in the theater, yeah, that's all well and good. That's like a big thing. He's a popular character, people know him. But I think if for that trailer for that movie or whatever, you show Luke and you show maybe another CGI Leia or something, like people will think that might be the buzz generating stuff.
Yeah.
Is that we're getting Luke and Leia in a movie in their prime, so to speak, and Grogu and Ahsoka and the Mandalorian, all these things. That could be the, you know, that could be what generates a lot of buzz. Like we've talked about pop culture moments throughout this episode today. I wouldn't say that's a big one, but I think that like penetrates it to a degree.
Yeah, I'd buy that. Ben says breaking. By the way, I always laugh at breaking. For me, breaking news is like a truck is hanging over the side of a cliff, not that like a new time slot has been released. I'm not to make fun of you, Ben, but I see like people do that on the internet. I'm like, no, that's not breaking news. But anyways,
like what like happened with Loki today is like breaking. Loki's gonna
break. Yeah, it's like no, it broke. Yeah. It's not breaking. It broke.
Yeah.
Loki is going to be released at 9 p.m. on Thursdays. Do you think moving forward, they are going to do this for Disney Plus shows, maybe Star Wars included? I don't know. I mean, they both of those might be a test. I mean, Star Wars on Tuesdays and Marvel on Thursdays. They might be seeing what do they, you know, how does it work?
But also, like Loki had a date for Ahsoka at a date. He was always coming out on the Friday. You know, like what they're doing now. I told you about this conversation that somebody had. Why they put out the episodes where they be putting them out now. Obviously, this is now happening with Loki. Is that they know it's the peak time for engagement. Like if they put it out at 6 p.m. like Pacific time, they get more opportunity for like engagement and like and post reaction content and all this other stuff. It's better for them to do this, and they've probably learned it now as well from Ahsoka. Okay, our theory, what we thought would happen, has happened. That is the optimal time to release, and now they've done it with Loki. Like I think this is going forward. I think we'll see this though. I think the other Star Wars shows and Marvel shows will have the 6 p.m. Pacific time. It's no longer going to be midnight, or whatever it is for you guys. You know, it's going to be at a more convenient time.
They might know that most of their viewers are on the weekend, so Thursday might make more sense as you get the hype going at work the night before on social media, Friday at work and out in the public, and then the weekend people watch. So that they might be trying that. It might work better for them or something. Ben says next time I comment something like that, I'm going to type broke. Yeah, I know. My other thing is fucking grain of salt. None of you motherfuckers know what grain of salt means. Why is everybody saying it all the time? You know? Oh, I'm coming through your phone. But hey, Bespin. Why don't we ditch this nerd shit and why don't we eat lunch and go play Fortnite?
That sounds like a more appealing idea.
Yeah, let's do that. All right, everybody. We'll see. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me today, man.
It's all good. You've really got the $5 out of me for appearances. this
Yeah.
month. I think I've done like 5 or something. It's $1 a show. Shout out to Rob for paying me.
Rob's just paying you to show up for him now.
Rob's paying me $5 like to show up on this show, and he's getting like, I don't know, maybe a week's worth of like hours out of me.
Yeah.
Like,
that's spawn money, dude. That's what spawn money will get you, dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody, we'll be back. I think I'll be back tomorrow. I want to do a show tomorrow. I want to do more shows this week. And tomorrow night,
though, the cake photo.
Oh, yeah. Do you have it?
No, I think we just end with the video.
All right. Well, I think I'll be on tomorrow. We'll do a show for the show. My computer magically started working over the weekend. I just haven't turned it off. So I'm leaving it on. So hopefully everything's fine and I'll have to do it from an iPad. Oh, but my son broke the iPad. So we have to do it this way. Things are going swell at home.
I just do this through a phone, Jason. You know, join me. Join me in doing this through an iPhone. You know what? It really obliterates the battery. I
think if we prove that we can do that stuff, then they won't help us anymore. They won't give us it. They'll be like, you know what? They're okay. They're getting by.
Nobody gives me anything really anyway. I'm not you. I'm not blessed.
That's why I'm working. That's why I'm saying I can't do it that way. I'm putting hard limits. All right, everybody. Well, let's go eat lunch and play Fortnite. And Acid True, come on, man. Where you at? All right, we'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye.
Purgatory. Why did you have to go to Purgatory? Alien wants to know. Grand Admiral Thrawn, why so blue? Why so blue? Shooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Purgatory. Why did you have to go to Purgatory?
It's time.
Alien wants to know. Grand Admiral Thrawn, why so blue?
It's got space kung fu.
Why so blue?
Space kung fu. Space kung fu.
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go.
Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go.
Hey!
It's the end of the show.
Come on, let's go.
Hey!
You know you should go.
Come on, let's go.
It's not about spaceships.